Un fuerte aplauso. Muchísimas gracias. Cuando queráis, todo vuestro. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. Stay here with us. Let me introduce briefly Roger. Roger, thank you. Thank you for coming. She arrived recently from Netherlands, and Roger Peverelli is insurance innovation thought leader. He's a well-known person here in Europe and worldwide in this sector as a thought leader. He has created new businesses for corporate like Zurich, Allianz, Munich, in more than 20 countries. And also he's a writer. You wrote 2 bestsellers in this area, innovation, financial services. And also he is passionate about football, playing and watching. Even sometimes you lose on penalties, well, but that happens sometimes.
Thank you, Oswaldo. Rub it in.
Thank you. Well, let me introduce briefly the topic, because leading in the AI age, we were discussing before coming here about the topic. And as you know, we are in exponential times. And I remember many years ago when people were talking about the Moore law, that the technology was doubling capacity every 18 months. Yes, but recently I read an article from Peter Diamandis, this guy from Silicon Valley, and he said that at the moment AI is doubling its capacity every 3.5 months, which is amazing. Yeah, in terms of we are, as organization and people, we are with this challenge of how to chase this technology, if it is possible or not, or perhaps we need to follow different strategies. Yeah? And this phenomenon is putting pressure on companies, on leaders, and the leaders need to address these challenges. For example, new skills are required, new innovation method, new ways of working, agility, so on and so forth. There are many topics at the moment, as you know. And here I want to ask you the first question, Roger, for you, is what do you think are the managerial and leadership capabilities needed in this digital and AI age, yeah? Particularly for the insurance sector, and what is being done at the moment?
What the current status is also.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what I see is, first of all, I can totally confirm what you say. Every insurer is investing heavily in everything that has to do with AI, and they really do that across the whole value chain. So we see AI applications in marketing, in sales, in underwriting, customer engagement, customer service. So that's the good news. Everyone is really moving forward in that direction. Having said that, like back to your question, basically, I think that when it comes to the competencies that are needed, I would say first of all, a vision on what AI can mean for the company short term and long term. That may sound obvious, but not that long ago, I met with a CEO of a large multinational company, insurance company, and they said that, well, like we are not going to waste any time working on a vision, because we never know, you don't know where it's going to head to anyway. And I don't think that's the right way to really approach this. There's so much changes coming our way that you really need to be totally aware of what's going to take place and how you will act on that. So that's the vision part. I see also that when there is something taking place, that most of these activities are related to the short term, operational excellence. And of course that's good. There's always massive opportunities to cut costs, but there is little attention for the longer term, for what you can do with data to really empower customers. And that's a new road where you do need a vision, and where you can really change and differentiate from your competitors. So that's the longer term part. Much of it has to do, in my opinion, with the way that people understand what AI can really do. Everyone is investing heavily in Python and R and things like that, but there's something else going on as well. And that something else has to do with the fact that technology has an impact on human behavior. For instance, look at how mobile phones have changed the way we live. American kids spend on average 7 hours on their phone every day. Look at what Tinder did. 40% of people get to know each other via dating apps like Tinder. So technology impacts human behavior. And we already see some glimpses of how that will work out in AI. To give you an example, you know how many movies you see on Netflix? In your screen when you open Netflix, how many movies do you see?
Well, I love movies. Yeah, I think every month perhaps 4 or 5 movies. I think.
But in total, when you look at the screen of Netflix, how many movies do you think that?
There are many. Yeah, Poof. Yeah, it's difficult to choose one. Yeah.
Yeah, but make an estimate. How much do you see?
20, 10? I don't know.
It's 350 in total.
Okay.
But the whole catalog that's available is 6,000.
Yeah.
So we, thanks to algorithms, only see 350 of the 6,000. That's not that much, right? And we're seeing more of the same continuously. So what happens is that when you see more of the same, you become, well, what would you say, mediocre, because you are not getting new information anymore. And the same thing is now taking place also, for instance, in business. One of my friends is heading a broker firm, international broker firm, and one of his sales managers used Gen AI to prepare a sales pitch, make a risk analysis for a food manufacturer. So it involved 4 factories. And then when he was there at this sales pitch, the client, the prospect, he looked at the risk analysis and said, well, that's not really that good. It was very mediocre. So what you see that people do, especially lazy people, and there's a lot of them, is that they start outsourcing their thinking to AI, because AI is the solution to everything. And that's something that we need to prevent. And that's one of the big pitfalls that we currently, because we see that everywhere, like students writing their thesis with AI. There are so many examples, and that's something that we need to worry about. So compare it to, for instance, using Photoshop. You know every detail about the program, but it doesn't make you a good designer. The same is also true with AI. You can know everything about Python and R and whatever you have, but you need to know how it impacts human behavior, because that's what we work with. So that's an important one. And then, in terms of pitfalls, I think I can mention a few more. One of them is overshooting. What we see is that there's so much belief in what AI can do, and it is really phenomenal. I came across this application that the marketing director showed me. A chatbot with a human voice, and the human voice was so good that it really sounded as if it was human. And they've perfected it in such a way that it was really empathetic. And he was very proud of it. Of course, from a technology point of view, that's really a great accomplishment that you can really do that. But in these days, we know that financial institutions, they need to be transparent. So you cannot, as a financial institution, impersonate that someone is talking to a human being while it's not. Second, research also showed already that people are more confident and more honest if they talk to a bot, if they know that it's artificial intelligence. Whereas if it's human, they don't. So we need to be more aware of what the impact is of all these new things on human behavior and work from that. So 3 things: vision, real understanding, and make sure that you prevent the pitfalls. One more pitfall is the speed, because on the one hand, like you mentioned the speed in which AI is developing, and I still see quite a few insurers who still do pilots of over a year, small pilots, and that doesn't, a year ahead, you're a year behind, and that doesn't work as well. It has to do with the fact that lots suffer from a non-invented here syndrome, whereas they could use insurtechs that have specialty knowledge and can move them much faster along the way to the good use of AI.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. And going ahead from this point is how to address those challenges, in particular, for example, the speed, as you mentioned before, ambition, and the other you mentioned. But sometimes we think of new methodologies or new best practices or what is your view from this perspective? How to address this?
Yeah, well, I don't believe in methods. I think it's basically addressing the things that I just mentioned. So, for instance, looking at, well, let's take for instance the vision part. Huh? If understanding is really so important, then you should ask yourself who in your organization is really responsible for updating all the knowledge on how AI is impacting human behavior. If we think that in time customer empowerment is important, who is responsible for making sure that there's a focus on what you can do with data and what you can do with AI to empower customers, to help them with superpowers. So those are things that definitely come to mind. And developing a vision is the same as in any business, so it's not that different. You just need to have the right ingredients, and that has to do with that understanding. With regard to the pace, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to team up with insurtechs and other tech firms at a much broader scale, and to stay away from those pilot safaris. You know, like I see too many just selecting like 4 or 5 projects, and then more to create a skill set rather than to get results. There are also good examples. I know, for instance, NN Group, they are investing heavily in AI, especially on the customer service side. And their pilot has the size of a country and all the portfolio. So then you get real results, real bottom line results already. And whatever you learn there, you can always transport to another country. So those are the things that come to mind to get up to the speed and make sure that if you want to start with the things that are, how would you call that, no regret moves, like things that you can always do, they're always right. So that is claims, for instance, claims assessment. That's an area where the technology is already so mature that you can create a lot of savings. The same is true also for fraud detection and fraud detection. That's an important area. But I would also invest in the way that brokers can work with AI, and to really empower those brokers. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there to get them on board, because you know, like, look at the brokers that that the company has. 50%, and that's a very conservative figure, is not that innovation savvy, or is not that tech savvy. So at some point, you know, if the race continues and AI is going to play the role that we all think it is, then the changes in distribution that will take place are phenomenal. And so you need to already create that vision on how to cope with that situation.
Yeah, thinking from your explanation, I remember the importance of organizational design also at this moment. Yeah, I mean, this is my own reflection from your explanation. Yeah, it's the importance of for a leadership, for leaders and for managers to redesign the organization. Yeah, you were talking about skills and roles and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to be one step ahead, especially if such a vast share of your market share still depends on the distribution channel that we all love. So you need to really step up to the plate and get going.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Roger. Thank you for coming to Madrid, and great pleasure.
Thank you.
And hope to see you next time again in Insurance World Challenges.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Just a final message I want to share with you, because we have designed a new program for top managers, Transformación del Seguro con IA y datos, y es un programa que tiene profesores invitados de toda Europa, mezclando expertos con casos de éxito, con managers, top managers que vendrán a estas sesiones a presentar sus casos, ¿no? Y esto es un programa que estamos organizando para octubre, y les invito a tener más información en nuestro stand que está allí afuera. Bueno, esto es todo por ahora. Muchísimas gracias.